Hey everyone, I made some changes to a few things. I'm speaking kind of on the quiet side because I've got the window open to bring some cool air in at night, so hopefully cut back on my electric bill a little bit instead of having all the ACs going. But in any case, this was going to show you what I did so far. And I created a splash screen, I adjusted some of the scripting, um, put some trouble areas into their own scripts to try and resolve most of it. The only thing that I cannot solve for the life of me is the stupid button clicking in the load or login section. But it doesn't happen like that in any other scene. So something in there is getting weird, and I've got this configuration the same way in all the other scenes. But for whatever reason, yeah. So let's go ahead and fire this thing up and you can see what I've done so far. We got the splash screen, it automatically loads. Then we've got the little logo icon, the loading. We got this scene, you heard that little click. Sorry for the chewiness of this right now. That's largely from the OBS player. I've been trying to fight with the settings to get it to be less chunky, but it is what it is. And yeah, you can still select all that as long as you fill out all the information. I got a lot of things worked out finally, including fixing the carrots, which is what they call that little selection thing, apparently. So that's all working now as intended. Knock on wood. Now I've got the player UI panel turned off, so it stays that way even if you enter another scene. And we can't add our own home scene, but we can with like first landing, and of course we hit that, we'll be turning it off. I will be making adjustments later to, shrink that down to about half that size. And I think I'm going to use the same scroll method up and down for creating the other locations. But I'm definitely going to need something to build a private, personal home location than this. It's only for testing anyways. So, not exactly meant to be pretty. So we got that. Of course, the coins now work, and when we reach a certain level, we'll get a credit match. So it's set up so basically 100 coins equals like 1 credit, which is the equivalent of 100 pennies equaling $1. So when you hit when you're starting to collect at 10, then you have to wait for like 1,000 coins, and then you get 10, 2,000 coins, so on and so forth, which would be another 10 credits. And then when you get like 10,000, you get like the $10 credit. So it's all about how well you can find all the credit points to get your low credit rewards. Eventually, I'm going to set those up too, where they're actually spendable points, not just the XP and the increases here. I did resolve this finally, though. So if we get the XP increase like we do here, it returns the full. And then have the smooth toggle on and off for walk and run changes when you use the R button for that. Eventually, when it comes to like other picked up items, lots of stuff like the coins and everything is going to be spawned and received as a reward, but like picking up other items basically. The goal is for it to have a little display down here that says, E to pick up, or E to enter. Very simple, direct instruction. But yeah, the other thing is I was originally sliding when my character fell over, animation like that, and if I'm pressing arrow directions, I'm not having that issue. The loading is working correctly, and yeah. So, I'm going to be rebuilding this, of course. This is still flying the way it is. Give the information, which will be more like about what versions of the engine's being used, which is, up here, probably hard for people to read. But the questions is going to be mostly about how do you use the controls, what are they for? Pretty direct, straightforward stuff like that. And eventually, like when we get in here, I am going to work on the player inventory, but I'm going to try to make the inventory system singular, so even when you're in here and turning on this, when you click on that, you'll open the same inventory set since you're already in the same scene. Originally I didn't think about doing it that way, but I need to figure out how to actually have the selection options, clicking buttons to equip either your character with gear, like, weapons or whatever, if you're going to be going into like a combat area or a survival zone or something like that. Anything like that. And then with like adding or activating items that spawn directly to the mesh of the character, like clothing, jewelry, whatnot. Of course, these are just test plots. These will not be the end product character. Eventually, I'm going to see about finding somebody who can actually rig up, original male or female base models, and then maybe have help setting up the customization for the body build part of it. Maybe just a separate icon like up in here, like a human body. So it kind of is like very simple and gets the point across without being excessive, and still keeping everything fairly clear for UI space. And then this would be like other grid snap options, whatever. Although now that I'm thinking about it, we technically already have that here. So, I'm wondering how exactly we would set this up. If not grid snap, then what this would probably be good for is like when we go into this area, when we go into the scene, we have this arrow here. So I think we'll be needing to set up these parts to work with the position here. It should be kind of like that if you want to manually move it. So it would show up this thing, basically. And then this, of course, would be the rotation settings. So if you selected set object there, you'd be able to access your own version of this. So you'd be able to actually rotate whatever, or add rotation on here. So I think I might just actually remove the little button parts and or actually not remove them, but set up something similar here where you can figure out rotation, scale, whatever, while actually in the game, so you don't have to fight with everything. So it's just easier for the end user. That's going to be a little bit more complicated, so it's going to have to wait till a lot of the other main things are in place and working properly. And the goal is to try not to have things scattered all over the place, so that everything is really clear and easygoing and easy to find without several different places that you have to go and maybe try and remember what's where on what. There's a lot of games I've played that do that, and I hate it, so I'm trying to take that in consideration with this. So we got it all working now, and the only thing I don't really have in the chat, like I said, is the emoticons, the emojis. I was going to do that, but didn't turn out too well. In any case, we now have this option here. If we choose clan, members will be able to talk to whoever's in there. And the goal is to set this up to not just show players present, but to also have it switch to world. And then if you turn clan on, then it's whoever are actually members of the clan that you're in. And then this part we can't type into because that's actually set up and reserved for when networking actually starts. In this part, we can actually save the file. So if we click here, it's going to give a timestamp. And we'll go into all that over here, documents. It'll tell you, because it'll create the folder in your documents area. And then you can go in here, open it up, and there you go. And yes, that's my local time right now. The reason that I did it this way instead of having a separate report is because it would be better just to send a copy if you have somebody that's, really bugging you in chat, whatever, or harassing you in the game, to actually send those files through for like administrator or, moderators, admin, kind of whatever, to be able to go over the different chat file reports and check when it was submitted, with the claim number, things like that, and then, contact back and forth to find out who the problem players are. One thing that I got in here that I'm actually needing to change a little bit is what I got here for the ghost mode or private. It shows that you're not in the world, but it shows unknown in here. And what it should do is simply inactivate all of it in both spots. So there. And that way, even with all this, you're alright. I am going to make a little modification with this. Probably use something like a gradient texture on it. Because this was mostly just a placeholder so that it would make the name stuff a little bit more visible, instead of all the issues that come with the different colors of sky. So if you get like right here, it's going to be really hard to see and tough on people's eyes. Whereas we've got this a little on the darker side, so it's not as bad. But I don't really like this that dark, personally. And trying to, add the option to choose your own background color with that was a monstrosity that didn't work. So that's where I am right now. So I hope that you've enjoyed the updates. And that's it. Have a good night or a good morning wherever you are. Stay safe. And take care of one another. And watch out for the libtards. Holy shit.